Om Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimadananda Tirtha Bhagavad-Padacharya-bhyo Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurna Gudannavaya Visvodaya Sthititolaya Niyadiprataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparita Madiprabhudan Vadan Rasya Kritavan Bhuvidatvavadam Sarvesvaro Haririti Pratipatakam Tam Anandatirthamunivayam Namami Ujjaya Raghvendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Bhajatam Kalpavrakshaya Ramatam Kamadhenuvem Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvinavadidamastu ma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome, friends, once again to our the journey of Kathopanishad. So we have started, because in the last segment of the third Adhyaya, where we are getting the final takeaway from the Kathopanishad as it is. So we have seen, because some of the concepts that has been talked about, because when the from all the Pancha Indriyas, they are all being synchronized with the mind and the intellect, then you will be able to get into the highest realm, Paramam Gatim. That is what, it said. What is the highest status, a person can achieve in this world is the Paramam Gatim, what that was brought about. It was brought about when all these five senses, they are all subjugated, subsumed into the mind, and the mind is subsumed into the intellect. And when all the three, all of them, that is our intention, our action, our perception, our focus and mindfulness, everything is harmonized together, then only we will be able to get that highest status. That Paramam Gatim, that is what it says. Paramam Gatim is the sense, the highest bliss which we are looking for. What called liberation, mukti, whatever we call, that is that Paramam Gatim. That Paramam Gatim comes with the mindfulness. The mindfulness comes mainly because the mindfulness comes because because then only because you will be able to get into what you are doing in the entire attention, the entire perception, action, everything will be together. You will not be able to, you will not be obfuscated by other thoughts. You will not be oscillated. You will be totally focused and you will not be unassailed. You will be able to remain at that state. But that state, is it going to be ever, because once you take it, because it is always supposed to be fluctuate. This is yata, that is what it says, yata pancha visashtante. That is, I am just narrating, because the previous two mantras to bring it into the focus of this current one, which we have seen. That yata pancha visashtante jnanani manasa saha. When all of them are focused together, because when you are meant by intellect, your mind is not giving any different direction. What your mind has brought about, the intellect has accepted. Yes, this is the right thing, you are doing it. And all the senses are focused on what you are doing. Why we are saying, because all those things will have to come together, just for the purpose of repetition itself. Because when you are not focused, you may be in a meeting or you may be listening to someone. But are you sure, your mind is also totally into that? You may be listening depending upon the importance of what you are listening. If you are listening at that particular moment, because where it is likely to cause discomfort to someone, and you will try to give attention to that aspect of it, but at the same time, your mind not necessarily be totally into that. So you may not be focused on that. So you may be attending a lecture, because if you are attending a lecture, of a philosophy which is different from what you are already pursuing, or the denomination to which you belong is something different, you will try to see what these people are trying to come out, with a different view than what we are already having it, because you have got ownership of your views. Your ownership of the views comes from because you are attached to a particular denomination. You have taken it as the given, and you have given your belief into that and faith into that. So when it is that, because if you are not open-minded, you are going with that slant of what you are already believing, you will not be able to fully focus on to the other gentleman is talking about. You will only try to find, because the aspects, because which are likely to be, in agreement with yours, you will focus on that. You will say, yes, this man is talking some sense. When the whatever you have believed, because your faith, which is not agreement with what he's saying, I think, these people are talking something different. I think, because that is saying, because then what happens is you are not open-minded. You are not willing to examine, what is coming out of that. So certainly it is good that you should have a faith, you should have a belief, so that, you have got a roadmap of how you can pursue your life, how you can pursue your sort of, the process of, keeping yourself, with the body, mind, and intellect in harmony. You can do that. But at the same time, because when you are listening to that, because everything that happens, whatever your experience has given to you will have to give more importance to that than to what you have, because you have been told or you are believing to be true. Till such time you are experienced, you should not take it as true. You should experience it yourself. It's not that everything has to be experienced, but because as you go about it, when you find your experience is more or less correlates, what you have been pursuing, then you will be able to take it, more effectively into your being, innate. But without being experienced, you are only trying to find, because it's likely to happen. That is, then you will be going into sort of a realm where, your mind, body, and intellect, they are not in harmony with this. When you do something, you do believe that, and at the same time be open minded to listen to all those things, and then, find out with your own experience. That is what, because all the great masters have suggested, don't go by what we are telling. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, he said, because I have given you, I have told you all those great knowledge. It is up to you whether you are accepting it, or whether you are following it, or because you are going to have some other way. It is up to you. He has given the option to that, because the experience, the pratyaksha, is a very important, in the anubhava is a very important concept in the Sanatana Dharma. So therefore, because when we say, yatha pancha vishishtanti jnanani manasa saha, when you are telling something is different, but when you are experiencing the same, that is different. You will find, because when you are working on something so mindfully, with all the attention, and which is something, because which you have been trying to do all the life, all through the life, you wanted to do something. Now you are trying to focus. At that point of time, you bring in, all your attention, your mind, and you are trying to get into the, even if you don't have any knowledge of it, you try to get the expertise, from the people who are having it, and try to follow, as well as, you go by your experience. If something works, you go by that. If something doesn't work, you try to find, what is the better way out constantly, because reiteratively, because when you are trying to find out, you will be able to find the best course. That course, because it is mostly suitable for your requirement, based on your understanding, your conditionalities. That is the experience you should try to get by yourself. At that time, what happens is, when you are trying to get into all those things, what you are believing, and what you are perceiving, what you are acting, and what the mind tells you, and finally what the intellect has accepted as the right, all those things, because you will find the, for the final, the condition in which, you will be finding is that is elevating. It is not the result, that is going to be elevating. When you have worked together with all these things, and finally you are able to get the things through without any obstacles, and you have gone by all the iterative process of eliminating one obstacle or the other, finally when it comes through that, at that point of time, what your knowledge is, exactly comes by your side, your belief comes your by side, your action comes by your side, and the focus is totally onto that. And when you get that, that is where the manifestation of the divinity in you, because you are able to give the best. When you are able to give the best, when you are totally, in the closer to your consciousness, or the Paramatma, the Paramam Gati, once you get into that, that is what, it happens. This is what they explained it to. So then, once having explained that, the Upanishad again goes back, because you will still have a lingering doubt, or your understanding is still to be, trying to find out logically, because how this can happen, how this possibility is there and all. So then in next mantra, when they said, that is 11, which we have already covered, tam yogamiti manyante stiram indriya dharanam. What is yoga? Because when all these things come together in the Indriya Dharanam, when everything, comes together, when we are able to give the focus, and when the five Indias together, mind are withdrawn and the Buddhi is study, then, because finally that is the highest status, because which you call, in the Ashtanga Yoga, they call it Pratyahara. Pratyahara is the one, because when the senses are able to perceive rightly and they are able to give the right input to the mind has accepted, whatever the senses have given. And once the mind has accepted what the senses have given, because the senses are trying to bring in the right, the nature of the object or nature of the quality of the issue in front. Till then, what happens? It is all, your own imaginations, your own conditionalities, your own kleshas, your own sort of ideas, because about the things, which is because suppose if you go into the room and if you want, because there is, you want to go to a lecture, you think, the podium will be like this, the seats will be like this, and the chairs will be like this, because you have got a premeditated idea because you have got an experience. But when you go and find out, it may be little different because the chairs may be of a different quality, the podium may be of a different, and then the speakers may be of a different kind, because which you imagined. But then you accept that, because then what you imagined is not always correct. Your senses don't give exactly the information. What you perceive is not going to be the truth. The perception is based on the knowledge and our expectations, but the actual is something different. Once you are able to accept that, once you are able to go by that, so then what happens is, because then when you are able to accept, then you will be totally in line with the conditions in which you are put in. Tam yogamiti madhyante stiram indriya dharanam. So once you have understood, yes, this is the condition in which I will have to do it. You think you are taking up a new job. You think because the job profile will be like this, and because the way of working will be like this, the rules and regulation of the organization will be like that. But when you go into the new organization, all those things will be totally different. It will be to their purpose, to their mission and vision, and to their objectives. It has been, but we may not have been accustomed to do. But once you go with the preconceived notion, and once you see what are all the realities, once you accept the realities, adopt yourself, and finally you try to, because work within the framework of whatever is obtaining the rules and regulation, your adaptability is the most important, because the nature of the beings, to evolve themselves. Human beings are able to evolve and proliferate mainly because the human beings' ability to adopt any conditions. This is what Charles Darwin said. The highest quality of the human evolution is adaptability. Once you have adopted, because then automatically, it becomes, then, you don't go with unwanted expectations. Once you adopt whatever you have had the expectation, all those things are being, sacrificed. They are being sent out, because you just create the new condition. You find yourself aligned with what is available, and then that tam yogamiti manyanti. That is what it is. Stiram Indriya Dharanam. And when she was it, because you are not going, I thought like this, it is like that. How am I to, because I would not have, I would have been very happy there and all. If you like this, you will not be able to, there is no yogam. You will not be able to be in line with, whatever is expected of you or what is being expected from you. Both will not be there. So apratastata bhavati yoge hi prabha apyavo. Because even once you are able to bring in all the acceptance, once you are able to bring all the sort of senses and mind together and all, it is not always constant. They will come and go. Even for the sages of the sages, even the highly evolved, it is a continuously sort of because like a birth and death, because the continuity of the sort of a balance of mind will not continuously be there. So therefore, you will have to constantly be in focusing on this, because you will have to be sort of a careful. You should not be, you should always be heed to what is happening around you. So there has been, because very great, stories that is illustrating, how we should do it and all. So there was, because one particular instance, because you will have to the how heed, because what even a minute of even when you think you are in a fine balance, you've achieved all those things and all. Yeah, desire will come like a tornado and take away, and because finally it will sort of make you, it will give you justification for whatever you have to do at that point of time to get what you want. and you will be out of the mooring. That's why, the great people, they reach the greatest heights. And, because finally some Epstein comes and takes away, because whatever reputation they have had, including the spiritual masters. Why it happened? They did they not know. They did not have the wisdom. But then, what happens? The desire is such a powerful tornado. As long as you are not able to master, the desires, you may have 100 desires, because maybe, you can eliminate, few, and finally 3 or 4 will remain. The 3 or 4 desires will be always coming back by a tornado or tsunami or something like that and take away, the balance you have achieved. That's why the Upanishad warns, tam yogamiti manyante stiram indriya dharanam apramat astata bhavati yogehi pravava apyayo. No, because it is not constantly you will be able to keep something will come and take away. You will have, because that's what, they find, because the using the people, who are trying to work with the great, for their benefit, they will find what is the weakness of one gentleman. What is the one weakness is? He may be having a weakness for food, or he may be having a weakness for, because some, good life and all. And he may be having a weakness for, because a very good mobility and, because all the comforts, during that. But they will find, and they are the one, because finally being used to take away the fine balance he has achieved in his life also. Why some great people, who had so much of a reputation overnight just because they are associated with something like an Epstein? Overnight, because all the reputation has vanished, and not only they are trying to, because they are trying to disassociate with whoever, whatever has happened at the point of time, they are trying to justify what they have done. Now, these things happens because there is no constant endeavor. It's a heedlessness. So heedlessness, because heedlessness, you will have to constantly be aware of yourself to see, because whether you are able to get through with the, because whatever you want to achieve with the necessary focus, the mindfulness, the power of now, mindfulness will not always be there. You will have to bring back, every moment, it goes off. That's why there is a famous story, because where Buddha had two, because two people, two persons, the one person came. He is a very highly knowledgeable. His scriptural knowledge is very high. He has already practiced everything and he knows meditation and benefit of it. He can talk for hours. He is nitty gritty of entire thing. He has understood. Because as we have been discussing in Upanishad, he knows everything. So the Buddha asked him, because, okay, you come. He wanted to learn from him. He wanted him to. Okay, he asked him to do whatever he can. Because go through this and all. And after some time, his brother came. He is not having any iota of any knowledge of anything like that. He's simply a normal person who has been, seeing the life as the day comes by, as the sun rises in the morning and goes through the night, because he goes by whatever is to be done for a living, he does it. So he also came, because he said, because Master, can I join your ashram? The Buddha asked him, yes, you can. But then what can you do, because the other fellow is, highly qualified in scriptures, and because he can always relate, he will be able to explain, he can tell it to others, and he can also bring the ways and means, to the new disciples and all. Whereas this fellow doesn't have anything and all. So Buddha asked him, why don't you do one thing? You keep the ashram clean. Because it was every day, because the trees are there and the leaves, comes out, like that, and the entire ashram is strewn with leaves and dirt, and because all that pigs and all, you keep it clean. This fellow used to keep it. He used to clean the ashram, throughout the day. He used to keep clean, and then he used to take some rest, take some glass of water and all. After 10 minutes, he will see again, because there is a lot of again in autumn, because the springtime, after the spring, when the autumn comes, all the leaves are drying and falling down, and because all those figs are being strewn around, and all this sort of a dirt and mud is there, and all, he has to clean it up. He was continuously doing. When he was continuously doing, because he was day on and day off doing, but he didn't, get bored of it. He told, Master has told me to keep the ashram clean. That's all I will have to do. Whereas, because the other fellow who is very well versed in that, he was going by, because how, it is said like that, but, how can it be really be like that? Because there is a contrary view in, another scripture also. He was trying to, because logically analyze and discuss, debate, and all those things. So one day, because he asked the man who was so well versed, he had talked to Buddha, and he said, I've got, all these doubts, how am I to? And every time, I get, I think, I get a clarity, but again, something or other crops up, and again, I get confused. Because how to get to the liberty, master, and he asked. Then Buddha told him, you just follow what your younger brother is doing. The illiterate, who is unlettered, who is doing every day what he was doing. He was cleaning, all the the leaves when they fall down, all the twigs when they were there. He cleans, and after some time he finds again they are there. He keeps on cleaning it. He said, because to get the clarity, every time you will have to get into the focus, the reflection. How you can do it? That is meditation. The meditation may be in the form of your prayers. The meditation may be form of in your sadhana. The meditation, will be, I think, is contemplating yourself and reflecting yourself. That you will have to repeatedly do, because all these cobwebs, all the leaves will fall through. All the ticks will accumulate. You will have to go on cleaning it. Same thing is said by the entire thing is being beautifully reflected in this Upanishad, because this mantra number 11. It will not, you will not have a, the constantly, the fine balance you have achieved. It will be coming and going. It will be coming and going because, there will be a pulverizing thoughts, fusillading come through, because like a tornado, they will all be coming, because you will have to constantly be in on meditation. Pratyahara is not feeding your senses. How will you be not feeding your senses? Because constantly keeping a vigil, heeding to what is happening around it. So in fact, because in one of the heedlessness, is one of the biggest qualities that will take away whatever we have achieved in our life in terms of spiritual progress or even otherwise also, physical progress also. Heedlessness is one of the greatest sort of a disease that should never be afflicted. No one should be afflicted with that. Heedlessness breeds lethargy, indolence, and you find what am I to do? I have done everything and all, because you don't find a way out, how to find a solution, because you give it up. That is tamasa, because that is what, because the sattva, gives you some sort of a clarity. And the rajasa, because, whatever little rajasa is there, because once you plan, it gives you the ability to act. Of course, you will be acting selfishly, I think with a selfish and interest. But as you go about, with the focus of indriyas and all, it will all be, because the selfless effort, in which you will also be getting the benefit, others will also be getting the benefit. But if you don't give any heed, the lethargy sets in, the indolence comes through. That is tamasa. Prabhava apyayo. This is what they said. That is why even when we do sadhanas, even when we do prayers, it's not that, for 5 minutes I spend, in the prayer room in the morning. I do meditation for 40 minutes or 1 hour in the morning or in the night. They're not good. Because you'll have to totally try to repeat it and cultivate the habit of reflecting yourself. So whenever a moment arises, you just sit in a corner and reflect yourself. When you don't find any solution for the insurmountable problem, you will get it and then you will be able to go through. This is exactly, it says it is a constant effort. It is not, because just once you have done and it is done, everything. You will have to be constantly be happening around. In fact, in Mahabharata, in one of the discourses, in the Sanat Kumara, because the son of Brahma, Sanat Kumara is by thinking Sanat Kumara, he will immediately materialize. That is the concept. Because there is a discussion between Sanat Kumara and Dhritarashtra at the instance of Vidura, Udyoga Parva in Mahabharata. There is a story, when it says, because Dhritarashtra didn't get any sleep. All said and done, because he had the sort of, because whatever his children are like that and all, but he was still listening to his Vidura, his cousin, as a stepbrother, as well as, who is the most knowledgeable, because the person who was advising him on all those things. So in one of the things when he was trying to tell, when discussing with Vidura, Vidura said, because look, it's all, everything is, you have to give heed. Even the death is not, something, as it is something happening in the life, as we are seeing it. Death is nothing. Nothing is a sort of an instance. It is not an event. He said, because in that sense, then finally he said, can you explain it to me? He said, it is beyond me to explain. I will invoke Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara will come and explain it to you. That's what he told this Rashtra. What Sanat Kumara, because was trying to explain, he was telling heedlessness. What is death? Finally, because, when we are not, because when the breath is not, getting the attention and it leaves. That is the heedlessness. And then the lethargy sets in, the ability to live, the willingness to live, willingness to focus, that goes off. Lethargy and procrastination and weakness. Slowly you give in, no more, I will not be able to take anything, more, because once you finally give it up, that will. Therefore, death is not something like that. It is something like the heedlessness and lethargy. But when the body gets, because, the lack of, the energy into that, and because the time comes, it goes off, because, but then mind should not have. Mind should be active till the end. You should be able to sort of, yes, let me find out, let me get into that paramam gati, what has been said about, let me focus on the highest power. So then how it is to be focused, that's what the rest of the mantras were discussing. That is what we saw last week. Naiva vachana manasa praptum shakyo na chakshusa. You will not be able to realize that, the greatest, highest bliss, or, the highest paramatman, by na vacha, not by speaking, talking about it, but not by seeing, the phantasmagorial vision, as someone explains, because he had 4 hands, because Sahastra Sesha, Sahasrata, Sahasrabad, by telling all those things, you will not be able to get a phantasmagorial vision, and you will not be able to comprehend. And because it is impossible, he is such a vast. Brahman is Bruhuyati Brahman. He is like a horizon. You think you got it, and then the horizon extends further. That is how, the Dhatu says, it is always expanding. You will not be able to comprehend. Praptum Sakyona Chakshusha, you will not be able to see that with the physical and even with the mental imagination. Astiti Bhruvanto, Astit iti Bhruvanto. How will you be able to realize, because what is this entire Prakriti, Purusha, because whatever we have seen, we are all here, the existence, all of us are existing, we have adopted. We have all come through the life. We have faced all the vicissitudes, and someone has helped us to get through all those things. And now we have realized, and we are not the doer, someone is getting it done through us. It is that, once we realize, because how you will be able to understand? It is again, because you have to have a guru who has to tell you all these things. On your own, you will not be able to do. The guru will be able to understand in your weaknesses. Guru will be able to understand your strength. Guru will be able to remove all the cobwebs, which is called avidya. The wrong knowledge, what has imbibed into that, by seeing the materialistic knowledge. To live in this world and way of the world, to live with the objects and the way of the world, that is avidya. If you want to be materialistic success, that is avidya. Because you think that is it. That takes you, because it gives you it feeds you with that, the liberty to desire for more. And the desire grows into geometric proportion. You will not be able to devolve yourself back to yourself, because it takes you out. That's why parang pachati na antaratman. Because when you everything it takes you out, you will not be able to see anything else, but your antaratman will not be closer to you. You will only be seeing whatever is happening around, millions, billions, and then what is happening all around the world. You will only be seeing that. When that happens, then Asiti, but finally some guru will finally what is that highest paramam gati that is within you, that is right now here. It is in front of you. It is with you. It is always being guiding you. And it is getting it done through you. You understand that. That is why Anyatra Kuto Anyatra. Katham tadu upalapyate. It is not that. Nowhere else. Only the Guru can. None else can bring it about. Upalabhyate. You will not get that. So that is what it says. So therefore, the importance of Guru is the finding, because the guiding, taking you to. Because all my Jagat Gurus, we call them Jagat Guru, because they are finally showing who is Krishna Madhya Jagat Guru. How they will be able to, they only will be able to show. That's why our philosophies are called Darshana. We are not called, because Advaita is a sort of a interpretation of our Prasthanatraya. So it is a sort of Darshana, it is Shankara Darshana. And the Visishtadvaita is Ramanuja Darshana. And Tattvavada is the Madhva, because they have all seen the Darshana, the interpretation. They are showing you the way. Depending upon the time they have come, depending upon the time you are living, because depending upon the conditionalities you are there, because you have been shown the way. All of them have showed, finally, that is why they are all called Jagat Gurus. It is not that there will be only one Jagat Guru who will be ruling around the world like a president. It is not like that. Jagat Guru is Krishnam Mande Jagat Guru. He is the only one. The Gurus who are showing him, they are all the Jagat Gurus. And for us, because that is what exactly this Upanishad, you will be able to get to know only from those Gurus, none else. And then he is then next it says, how will you be able to get, because when you are trying to realize that, there's apprehend, because even you will not be able to comprehend, when you are able to apprehend how that Paramam Gati, that is when you are able to have all your senses and mind and intellect together focus on mindfully onto the great thing which you are enjoying and doing it right now, and it is being done through you once you do it. That is at the time. Are we able to do? Because we are dissipated all around. That is how, this mantra brought about. The next mantra goes a step further. It's saying Astit Astityo Ubalabdavyaha Tattva Bhavevena Cho Upayo. Astit, whatever we are seeing, what we are seeing, the Prakriti. The Prakriti has given us, because all the flora, fauna, the buildings, the cities, and all the five elements are there, and the five elements have created the water, and we are also getting Akashat Prasitam Toyam Yatagachati Sagaram Savaneva Namaskaraha Kesavam Pratigachati. So there is a circumambulation of the entire Prakriti, because the Mula Prakriti has given you, even the materials, what you want is being given. In the materials, whatever you want, even the precious materials, like a gold, silver, and the diamond is being given by the Mother Earth, Mula Prakriti. And even the, because uranium is also given by the Mula Prakriti. And uranium also has got, because then how you are using the uranium is up to you. Mula Prakriti only gives uranium. But uranium per se can't be used, into a detonating material or, because fission material. You will have to, because make it into a U-238, we'll have to give it uranium 238. You will have to process it. You will have to enrich it. Then only, because that is why, the entire, the Middle East, what that is going on is someone is enriching in the uranium, which is Mula Prakriti has given. And someone says, you can't enrich, because you can use it for a wrongful purposes. It is only I can use it. So this is how, because who wants to use it is finally Mula Prakriti is what that one, who has given that. And Mula Prakriti, and we are also fighting for water. The water, because it's going to be the water world, because tomorrow the fight for the world war is going to be only due to water. Nowadays in the Middle East, the first thing that's being attached is desalination plant. Because once the water is being, then finally, you will be crippled. The existence will become a problem. So like, whatever God has given, Astityo Balaptaya Tattva Bhavena Cho Upayoho. I think because we all see, because it is that. We are thinking we are owning that. Uranium you don't own, it is the Mula Prakriti has given. The enriching, you have found the process of enriching, that is also, Mula Prakriti has given only the means for that. And, Prakriti and Purusha, whatever has been brought about, because in the in our philosophies, other philosophies, and it is also yoga. Also, finally, the concept is Purusha and Prakriti. Finally they come yoga miti manyante. Because they are finally getting into the identity, because finally we are all in the children of Prakriti. And from the Prakriti, once we realize Purusha and we understand that the Purusha and Prakriti are the cause, for the cause of the same, both are, because finally there is a primordial power, then we understand that is the highest power. Unfortunately, that understanding is still not there. This is the Astityo Bulabdavyasya Tattvabhava Prasidititi. These are all the prasada given by them. These are all the divine grace has given us, the Mula Prakriti has given us. And we have, because had all these, five elements, water, because apa, and, because all the food, all the grains that comes out of the earth is, because it's, Prakriti has given it to you. And, because all the floras and faunas are given by that. And finally the sunlight gives you the energy, and it has given the entire process of without the sunlight all of us will be sort of lifeless creatures. Even every life, even every plant needs the life of the energy. Having done that, why because this moon, there is a mission to the moon which was done by the NASA recently, Artemis. Why they wanted to find out what happens because when the other side of the moon, when there is an eclipse, because when the moon, when there is no sunlight on the other part of it, what is that likely to? Because it is going to give a fund of information. You will know that. But all these things, there is a cause of all causes. Chetano Chetanana. The finally that one comes. Once you understand. And we are thinking, we are the masters of everything that is available here. I own the land in it. The gold is coming out of this land. I am the master of this land. I own the land, if uranium is coming out and I am the master of this uranium. I own this land, oil is coming out, because it is the metamorphosis of this. All the, because sea creatures, live creatures, who have all metamorphosis. Even some of us would have been part of the oil, if they were living in some part of those areas. And, finally, we have all become a part of that, our body has become part of that. So when you are not understanding these are all the causes, you are thinking you are owning it and you are trying to dictate the terms how the world will have to live. That is the ajnana. Till then, because once you know, once you realize that time has not come yet, with the grace of God who causes the reality of both Prakriti and Purusha, and Prakriti and all the materials, whatever kind of fissile materials as well as the rare materials, which are being used for an artificial intelligence, all those things are given by Mula Prakriti. You are not created. Have you created any element so far? In the laboratory, we can't create. We can create, just as upon the, but we will not be able to create in the abundance, as it has been given by the nature. So once you know and understood, there is the supreme being. Even he is the one who he has to bestow his grace for us to get the benefit of the entire thing, to live in this world wonderfully for the purpose for which we have been brought about. And this is all the more important, this particular mantra now, because we have never realized in the Mula Prakriti is the causative, the factor which has given everything. And the Purusha, because who has been, giving the energy and, through his the sun and other things, because to the entire world. And all those things are being caused by the Brahman. He is the one for root cause of everything. It is the one Niyamita, because he is the one, caused everything for us to get the benefit of it. Unless you know that, you will not be able to get the Paramam Gati. Not necessarily now with the conditions available in the world. The conditions are not at all appropriate to realize Paramam Gati. The Paramam Gati only will be able to know, because it is the Prakriti and Purusha which are all being caused by the Parabrahman. And with the grace only, we got the little benefit of it. And little benefit to know ourselves, who is activating, immanent in us. He is Sthiti, he is in our hearts, as well as he is the cause for the entire world, the cosmos, in the entire universe. Then only you will be able to get. That is the finally Paramam Gati. That is, he will bestow the grace. One has to realize that only God exists, but exists as the supreme being. So then only you are only a speck. You are not, you may be a president or a beggar, but you are only a speck. You are an instrument through which it is being activated, and you are nobody. Once you know that, that is the Paramam Gati. This is all the more appropriate for the current conditions. And this takes to the yoga at a further level, as we will be seeing in the forthcoming mantras. With this today, I will be concluding, because our session today, Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadidamastu ma Vishvidavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, how are you, Prabhudam?